Today on the TMZ Podcast.
Welcome to the TMZ Podcast. Derek and Jason here.
Derek, big day in music.
Yes.
Two of the biggest superstars of all time, right? But especially of the 90s and 2000s, first decade of this millennium.
Yes.
Released new music today, one of which, Britney Spears, we knew was coming down today. Another was a total surprise. First look at Jennifer Lopez's new hit.
Yeah, big surprise in the newsroom when we got video from Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck's wedding reception, the big affair that went down in Savannah, Georgia, that we saw the shots of the walkway. Were they going to have a reception? Were they going to have a ceremony? It ended up being a huge wedding. Now we see what went down there, other than just pictures of celebrities. During the reception, Jennifer Lopez took the stage. I guess you would call it a stage, kind of the dance floor. And behind her was flanked by several backup dancers at her wedding. And Ben, dutifully, the new husband, sitting there observing what's about to happen. She launches into a new song about Ben and the love she's had for him over the years. Here, take a quick listen. So what do you make of this? This is a big spectacle at a wedding. You've been to many weddings. We all have a period in our life in our, sort of late 20s and early 30s where you go to a lot of weddings. I've never seen a choreographed, fully produced number. Usually things are a bit more spontaneous. I mean, there are planned toasts, but they feel spontaneous. You get up there for the first dance and people then join in. This is a performance. You're at almost a concert. What does Ben think of this?
Well, you and I have never seen anything like this before, but it's right up J-Lo's alley, right?
It's on
exactly
target,
what you expect from J-Lo, which is, first of all, they had this small ceremony where they say, we just want to do it privately, show our love for each other in Las Vegas.
That's out the window.
That's out the window. Instead, they have this grand spectacle in Georgia, hundreds of their closest and not so close friends. And she takes a stage, as J-Lo does, and she is sensational, right? She still has the voice, the range, the dance moves, the whole thing. You don't really see the dance moves, but she still has it all.
This. My question to you is, what does Ben think?
I think Ben dislikes it.
I do too.
But that said, he has shown, and like A-Rod before him, a complete deference to J-Lo and her style, and he goes along with it. He's in Italy, making out publicly, smoking his cigs when he gets a chance, when she's out of eye shot.
There has to be a bit of, what have I gotten myself into? Because J-Lo,
I don't think so. I think he loves her desperately until the end of time.
Yes, I do. I think that as well.
Okay.
But I think she is such a they're complementary in the sense that they are opposite kind of complementary people. I think of Ben Affleck as a guy who's like fairly private, outspoken in political arenas, but a pretty private Boston guy in some ways at heart. He didn't love the paparazzi at times. He would sort of have his Dunkin' Donuts walking in with a gruff look. He liked to gamble a lot. He wasn't as public facing as J-Lo has been her entire life. That is just part and parcel of who she is. She's very, very into the limelight. I don't know. If I'm sitting there as a husband, I would look at that moment and think, wow, this is going to be a ride. This is a lot.
Look,
and he's in his 50s now.
I think I tend to agree, but I think we're projecting a little bit. He was in a very a big-time celebrity relationship before. He's been involved with J-Lo before. He knew what he was getting himself into. If he is sitting there going, what have I got myself into? That's on him.
Yes.
Because he knows who J-Lo is. Exactly the same person she was with A-Rod, constantly in front of the cameras, A-Rod behind the camera, literally shooting film of her all the time.
Absolutely.
This is what he got himself into.
And knew it. You're right. This is 20 years in the making. This is not a whirlwind, quick romance. They just met each other.
Right.
He knows who she is.
He knows who she is. And this is the way it's been for the last 6 months they've been together as well. It's constant. They're not shying away from the cameras. They are going to the Grove, the enormous shopping mall here where there are cameras every day. They are going to the most popular restaurants for dinner. They are doing the Kim and Kanye tour of where we want cameras in our face all the time.
You know what? I flipped.
PDA.
I flipped because he was with Jen Garner and had kind of the quiet marriage, at least as far as celebrity couples go. They weren't very out there. And maybe he wants this. So maybe I'm misreading this and projecting because he's happy, smitten. Obviously, the song is very flattering to him. It's about can't get enough of you. And maybe he's ready for just that kind of lifestyle
Yes.
now. He's certainly going to get it. You know, we got their honeymoon. They're walking into the Cartier store. It's a lifestyle.
So they have come up, and somebody else has come up big time today. I mean, it's pretty incredible. Britney Spears, we all know the story, right? What was it, 13 years ago? She's got a shaved head. She's running over paparazzi with her car.
Yes.
She's
in a conservatorship.
In a conservatorship. She doesn't have control over her own self. She's allegedly being surveilled. She said about her father, she can't live anything. She's on medication.
Yes.
And now, not only is she free from the conservatorship, she now has a #1 hit.
It's wild, and it shot up the iTunes charts. I think we'll talk about it. The hit is with Elton John. Elton has done things in his later career to stay very relevant. He had "Cold Hearted" with Dua Lipa, which is just a lyric from one of his hit songs that has been remixed with Dua Lipa, and it was a massive hit. So he's trying it again.
But
with
interestingly,
Tiny Dancer.
just really quickly, with Dua Lipa, he is taking somebody on the ascent, one of the hottest young pop stars in the world, and now he's trying to do it with somebody who, I guess, on the descent also, but after a long descent and has not been huge as a musician since the early 2000s.
Yeah, although very hotly anticipated, very much in the news. So he is tapping into the zeitgeist with Britney Spears, even though she is maybe past her singing prime. He's doing it again with this song called "Hold Me Closer," which is the same trick. It's a lyric from Tiny Dancer. The song is sort of an up-tempo dance song. Britney Spears is on the track, and, you know, it shot up the charts. My question is, I've listened to part of it. I haven't even completed the song, but I have listened to part of it. And I think the clicks are more anticipation. I'm not sure this will have the enduring effect that the Cold Hearted song, which is actually a bop. You turn that on in your car, and it is a lot of fun.
Bop. You 40-something-year-old man, for God's sake.
But what do you think of "Hold Me Closer" as a track musically? Not whether it's #1 on iTunes. I give it full credit. There's a lot of anticipation. Will it have the sustainability?
So just to set this up, I'm of an age where I was both an Elton John fan at the tail end of his real pop superstardom, and at the beginning of Britney Spears. I was not too old to also love Britney Spears and be a fan of her when she, was with Giant Starburst.
Sure.
This is a terrible song. It's awful.
Tell us what you really think, Jason.
Tiny Dance is a great song. This is a remix of that. It is really, really difficult to listen to. And the thing that I found most shocking about it, because we've been hearing about this is this is going to be released. We've heard about that. We know that it's going to be the comeback song for Britney Spears. If we didn't know she was on this track, we couldn't listen to this and learn she's on this track. There's very
heavily
little
auto-tuned.
Well, not only that, she doesn't sing without harmonizing until 2.5 minutes into the song. It's just a harmony between the two of them, where her voice, and it's heavily auto-tuned to the point it sounds fake.
But he has such a distinct baritone-y kind of sound that it sounds like just Elton John for a long point in the song, and then she has her little solo moment.
I'm trying not to be sort of the old man looking down on pop music, but it's the kind of thing, there's no musicality to it. It is simply his old song that has been put through a machine and spit out the other side with a tiny bit of input from her. I'm actually disappointed that we didn't hear more from her. We've been hearing so much about how she's back. And look, she's never been a great singer, and time
she's
takes
not
a toll on
Christina
everything.
Aguilera.
Right, exactly. But she's always had a thing about her that's made her one of the biggest stars in the world for a long period of time, and I'm really disappointed it came out like this.
I think we're going to see a lot more. I think people disagree, but she dipped her toe in. It shot up to #1. There's obviously an appetite amongst consumers for Britney Spears music. She seems happy. She's newly married. She loves dancing. I mean, if you go to her Instagram, all she does is dance. She's still got music in her soul. I think she'll release more projects, and you may see more sort of solo work, and then we can judge that. But I'm going to reserve judgment. I think this is not a gimmick. A gimmick is
judgment. What's your opinion on the song?
I don't think the song is good, but I'm not going to hold that against Britney Spears necessarily. I'm going to say this is sort of a sort of gimmick done that Elton John does with certain artists. I like the Dua Lipa song, but I don't like it because it's Dua Lipa. I like it because it scratches some sort of nostalgia for Elton John.
Well, I thought that song was good.
It's better. It's better. But I want to see what Britney does, or if she does anything after this. She said, look, she said, okie dokie, it's my first song in 6 years. She's very excited about the public's excitement to have her back, and I think she will tap into that and continue to make music because it seems to make her happy.
Maybe your point is right. Maybe I'm being too harsh. Maybe the point is not how great this track is. The point is that she is back, that she is certainly has a #1 song, is as famous as she's been in a long, long time.
Yep.
and good for her for coming back this far. There's more work to do because we'd like to hear put out music of her own.
Right.
That's good.
And if you're looking to trace sort of the arc of Britney Spears, because she's been through a lot over 13 years, we have a new special on Tubi called No BS Britney Spears. It's fantastic because it gives a sense of the entirety of her life, and this is sort of a culmination, a sort of nice note coda at the. It's not the end though; it's sort of the middle of her life. What will become of Britney Spears?
Certainly the end of a chapter, right? The conservatorship chapter ends with, and the new chapter begins with the release of this song.
Britney's life has been this kind of roller coaster.
There's a theory for celebrities, you stop aging when you become famous.
A conservator should not be getting a cut.
Let's shift gears a little bit. Let's get off music. Let's get into Rocky.
Oh, I thought we were going to. The Donald Trump affidavit. Let's go to Rocky.
Nah,
I like that better.
Let's make a stop at Rocky. So, this has been a huge week for me with the shocking divorce of Jennifer Flavin and Sylvester Stallone. They've been married for 25
huge week
years.
for you because you're a huge Sly fan.
I am a massive. You know this about me. There are very few sort of personages that sort of define my life. Sylvester Stallone and Richard Nixon are big people in my mind. So when something happens with them, I had a Rocky poster in my room. Anyway, Sly's divorce is a very, very big deal to me. And the way it happened was shocking because she filed this petition, sort of said he might be hiding assets. He had just gotten a tattoo on his arm that, she had
covered up an old
tattoo of Jennifer Flavin with a dog.
Yeah.
Well, now he's making his first appearance, and it's for a screening of his latest film, which is Samaritan, which I'm very excited about. It's a sort of new take on superhero movies. He hasn't been in the Marvel universe. He's sort of doing his own thing. So I'm very excited about this.
And you say it's gotten good reviews.
It's gotten strong word of mouth, is what I've heard. So I haven't seen it, and I don't think people had screened it yet. But it's gotten strong word of mouth. I'm very excited about it. But everyone wanted to see what he looks like. What is the state of Sly? And he looks great. He's going through a divorce after 25 years that could weigh heavily on you. He's all smiles. He's obviously in impeccable shape. He always has been, though. There's not really a post-breakup hotness when you're just Sly.
He's got a lot going for him, right? He's wearing what I think is probably a $15,000 suit. It's one of the most beautiful garments I've ever seen on a human being before. He's always been in perfect shape. He's aged very well. Yeah. He's had a little work done.
Sure.
We all know about that.
That face is a little different.
But he really did look terrific in these photos. But the all smiles part, I'm not sure. We only saw a few pictures come out, and I think there was some sadness behind the eyes. It had to be, right? Maybe I'm projecting that into it. I wouldn't have seen it, but for knowledge of their divorce.
I think there's always some sadness that goes on. Even when you're ready to put to bed a 25-year relationship, there's sadness that comes with closing at a quarter of a century. That's a big part of your life.
The
Even if there's some relief.
The mother of your three children.
There's sort of a breaking up of a family unit. Jennifer Flavin posted the picture with the three daughters and sort of a united front. So there could be some more drama, sort of orienting themselves in opposition to Sly or something. But he did put on a brave face. He's just the consummate movie star. I think of him up there with like the Tom Cruises of the world. He's not going to show sort of weakness in public, and we'll see where it goes from here. I'm curious to see who he starts dating, but we'll continue following Sly.
Oh God!
Now let's move on.
If it was only you that he started dating, the happiest moment of your life.
My heart is full.
Actually, let's do Caitlyn Jenner real quick.
Okay.
Because I think it's a really interesting story. It came out over the weekend. Over the last couple of days, that Caitlyn Jenner, who famously had been opposed to Lia Thomas, the Penn swimmer.
Very outspoken.
Lia Thomas was born a man, had transitioned to be a woman, was swimming for the Penn swim team, and was breaking all sorts of NCAA records. And a lot of people coming down on both sides of the debate saying, is it fair that a trans woman, is that an okay term? Trans woman?
That's right.
Woman.
Okay. Yes.
Whether a trans woman should be able to compete against biologically born women, whether that's fair or if it's an unfair advantage. I think most people, including Caitlyn Jenner, came down on the side that it's unfair.
Yes.
It's an unfair advantage for a biological man to be competing against biological women.
And Caitlyn had a big voice in this. Obviously, Caitlyn was
the most famous
when Bruce Jenner
person.
was a very, very famous athlete.
The greatest athlete in the world.
So
for
people
a small period of
listen
time.
and look to Caitlyn Jenner on this issue because it obviously implicates her life.
Right.
Well,
she's changed her tune just a bit when it comes to a different sport.
Yeah, on golf. And Caitlyn Jenner, just so everyone is up to speed, Caitlyn Jenner is a big golfer.
Yes.
Bruce Jenner was a decathlete. Caitlyn Jenner is a big golfer.
Yes.
And so there's a new issue with a transgender woman who biologically male but wants to compete on the LPGA LPGA Tour as a transgender woman.
Yes.
And so obviously, Caitlyn's thoughts on this issue, you would expect her to take the same position she took with Lia Thomas, which is there's a competitive advantage. There shouldn't, for a biological man who has become a transgender woman to compete in this way, but she took a different tack. Listen.
Golf is a totally different game. It is a game of touch and feel. It is about your ability around the green to get the ball close, out of the bunker, your ability to putt. She's playing within the rules. Let's see how this thing works out. It'll be interesting, but I don't think she's in a position where she's going to be dominating on the LPGA Tour.
Let me start with this. Is there anything to Caitlyn Jenner's argument that swimming is a sport about raw athletic ability and golf is a sport that requires a skill set that isn't necessarily linked to raw physical strength in the same way?
There's something to it. It doesn't go very far. There's a reason why we have a PGA Tour populated entirely by men and an LPGA Tour populated entirely by women, because there's a distinct advantage that men have in their strength that puts them so that that women can't compete with the very top male golfers in the world, and that's just the reality of it. And we can try and tap dance around it all we want, but it's not going to get us anywhere. There's a reason we have this.
I think that's right. She's sort of cherry picking here.
Right.
That yes, there are touch and feel elements where there isn't as big of a disparity between the genders. Putting, for instance,
there's no
I would imagine there's no disparity.
Right.
Anyone can putt. It's all touch and feel.
Yeah.
Driving is a different situation
driving,
entirely.
Long iron play. The thing about Caitlyn Jenner is she knows better than this.
Yep.
She knows better than this. It seems like a self-serving argument in some respects. She has said,
what is she serving though? Because I agree, it does sound self-serving, but she's not on the LPGA Tour.
No, but
what is she serving?
First, she says she plays for the women's tees when she plays, which I find odd. Given that she prior to transitioning was a really excellent male golfer.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden changes genders and plays, but that's her own identity, and she has to deal with that in however she wants. But there's all sorts of tournaments and things like that I'm sure she enters into as based on what I'm hearing now as a woman, and probably does quite well, where she may not do as well. She's an almost 70-year-old woman. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So I don't know what to say. I mean, I found it interesting. Also, I found it weird that in that soundbite that we had, that she says we made the argument about Lia Thomas, and we said these things about her, and we won that one. Who was she saying when she said we? Society as a whole, trans women? Who won the fight against Lia Thomas? I'm not sure who she was speaking about there.
Yeah, I'm not. It's not entirely clear. I think she thinks that her side of the debate, had more persuasive force, and they won the debate. And it's most people now, I think Caitlyn Jenner thinks, believe Lia Thomas shouldn't have been swimming against other biological women.
Yes,
I think that's what she's saying. But you're right. This is it's a very fraught sort of topic, and there is something to be said that there's a spectrum of sports, right? I would think of sprinting as a purely athletic feat. I think
swimming probably.
And I think swimming is closer to sprinting.
Yeah,
and then there's golf and baseball and things like that, which involve hybrid. But all or most sports, and certainly sports that are divided between their male and female leagues, take this into account. I mean, there is an LPGA Tour, to your point, for a reason. There are divided
women's basketball leagues for a reason.
There's a WNBA.
And by the way,
NBA.
there are many sports that do not segregate between the genders.
That's right.
Horse racing, auto racing, some other things where
shooting a gun,
tremendous skill involved. But it's not your athleticism, to the point that you were making, that necessarily you require a separation of the genders. Really quickly,
I don't think this debate will go away. We'll hear more about this, I'm sure,
right,
as time goes on.
Really quickly, want to talk about the Trump Mar-a-Lago affidavit that was released today. Something that you and I do, we're both lawyers, and something we like to do is really simplify things as much as possible, both because, we work in an office without other lawyers, and so it's good to talk.
Yeah.
And two, we can only understand things on a very simple level as well.
That's right. Let's contextualize this a little bit.
Yeah.
People called for the release of the affidavit, including Donald Trump. Donald Trump said, release this thing. I want the public to see the trumped-up reason that they were going after me. That's what he thinks.
Interestingly, he said that publicly. When they got into court, his lawyers did not take that same stance. They said, the judge said, what do you guys think about the release? They said, we don't take a position on this. We're going to leave it to the Department of Justice to make the claim. So just to back up a little bit historically. Sure. So Donald Trump leaves office in January of 2021. In May of 2022, after a long series of negotiation, months and months and months, the National Archives and Records National Archives that handles documents, historical records for the United States government, reaches a deal with him and says he's going to turn over what records he has.
All presidents, when they leave the White House, pack up boxes.
Yes.
But you have to take special care in what you're packing up because you obviously, as president, have access to things like classified materials that you're not allowed to have as a private citizen anymore.
Exactly. And so he, in May, turned over to the federal government 15 boxes of documents. The National Archives folks went through those documents, and they were stunned to see what they found. They found, I think it was 29 documents marked top secret. And despite what the former president is now saying, they were never declassified, and as a private citizen, he cannot now declassify them. So they were classified documents, top secret, the highest possible form of secrecy in our government. In some of these documents are not even permitted to be read in anywhere other than a contained, sealed room guarded by Secret Service agents. And he had these apparently some in a safe, but others in a closet in Mar-a-Lago, these 15 boxes.
Yeah, the storage and the maintenance of these materials is very important because the information in them can't be accessed by third parties. What they say, and they look through these 15 boxes in the documents, they say a lot of them were intermixed with regular documents, newspaper clippings, which obviously he's allowed to have, and we know he famously loves to clip articles about himself. But you can't mix your top secret classified material with your newspaper clippings. And so,
well, he had taken the top secret documents, according to the affidavit, taken them out of their envelopes. They were unenveloped, right? And they were mixed in with things like newspaper articles and other pedestrian documents, and they were just sort of shoved back in boxes with all this stuff. So the National Archives gets all this material, and it's 100 and some documents that were classified, some of them top secret, and they say, and then they start talking to people who know, people who've been to Mar-a-Lago, people who speak on the condition of anonymity with the federal government, and they say he only gave you what he wanted to give you. There are countless other documents they have at Mar-a-Lago. The National Archives goes back to Trump. Trump says, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm not giving you anything else. So they then
have to get a search warrant.
issue the request for the search warrant, an affidavit where they identify all these witnesses. Now, we don't have, and what was released today, we don't have that information. It's all been redacted out. We don't have the names of the witnesses for good reason. We don't have anything of what they said was at Mar-a-Lago.
Yeah, to clarify, this isn't the return from the search warrant. This was the basis to go in and seize stuff from Mar-a-Lago. So they then grabbed stuff. But that's on the return from the search warrant, the inventory of stuff that they actually grabbed.
We will get that. We will get that at some point. That will come out, what it is that President Trump still had there. But the National Archives, importantly, the reason for the search warrant is because the National Archives knew when it got what it got, they said, there's still more out there he has not returned to us. Let's go talk to witnesses. And lots of witnesses said he's got classified information galore, stored in all sorts of wonky places within Mar-a-Lago. They tried to get that back voluntarily. He shut them down. That's when they went in, and that's when they did the raid.
Let me ask you a question. I want to take a step back. Does anyone care about this in terms of, if you're a Trump supporter, you're going to see this as, why are they raiding his house to get these documents back into the National Archives? Was he trying to do something nefarious with the documents is what I think people care about, not whether he stored them in a banker's box or in a safe. That's what I worry that this will somewhat backfire because it seems sort of pedestrian to most people. I don't know. I'm genuinely asking. I think he will play this as, okay, go look in how Obama stores his documents. I bet you'll find newspaper clippings too.
One of the categories of documents that is purportedly within what he took with him are nuclear secrets.
Big deal.
Discussions about our nuclear program, top secret classified information about our nuclear program. I don't care if you like Donald Trump or not. And by the way, people that I support have all sorts of foibles and problems. And when it goes too far, we have, as Americans, as citizens of the earth, we can all admit that we don't want nuclear secrets on the loose. People, housekeepers, guests, security guards, lots of people have access to all of Mar-a-Lago. Donald Trump is not there. He's rarely there. He's been spending most of his time in New York. How is this stuff being maintained? We have a right as citizens to know that. I don't care. It's not political at this point anymore. Yeah. It is all documents
he will
that
make
are
it
classified.
Political, believe you me.
All documents that are classified need to be kept in the proper way. I don't even really understand a counter argument.
I think his counter, and I don't think it's very, but I think what he will say is, I think all former presidents do this and they're picking on me.
Oh, really?
I think that's what Donald Trump will say is like, go look at George W. Bush's banker's boxes. Go look at Obama's. We all store stuff, and they did a search warrant on me.
Yeah.
I'm being persecuted by a rogue FBI agent.
But that's just not true, right? George W. Bush walked out, inventoried every single thing he had, and left it all behind.
Right.
Barack Obama left it all behind. Not one of these people has ever taken a single classified document. Now, Donald Trump can say, oh, I think they did. Well, okay. I mean, what am I supposed to do with that? What am I supposed to do
He's
with the
done it
bald
to his
accusation?
advantage time and time
Yeah,
again,
yeah.
which is the frustration with him, right?
Yeah.
Is he will just say this stuff to cast aspersions with no foundation towards other presidents to make it look like he's under assault. And that's what I find strange about the whole scenario. There's no truth you can put in front of him that deters him.
And by the way, Barack Obama, if you stole nuclear secrets from the White House and didn't respond, they were top secret and didn't respond, you need to go to jail too.
There you go.
There you go.
There, Jason's on the record.
All
Throw
right.
Obama in jail. Thanks, guys. Bye.